What's up, NASCAR Authentics fans? David Land here, bringing you the second wave of 2017 of Lionel's NASCAR Authentics. There are 5 cars from the 2017 Monster Energy Cup Series in this wave. Those cars are primarily being found at Walmart stores right now. And in addition, there are 3 2016 cars included in this wave. Those are the ones you see sitting closer to the bottom of the screen. Those cars are primarily being found at Target stores. It's a bit of a weird situation, but that's kind of what the situation at retail is right now. So that's where you can find these cars, hopefully, at your local store. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. 2017 Wave 2 of Lionel's NASCAR Authentics. So the first car we are going to take a look at here is Chase Elliott's Chase car, NAPA Auto Parts. We've already gotten one of these, except for it was Mountain Dew. I still have to say the packaging looks pretty good on this car because of the addition of the yellow. Looks very nice, so we'll get a close-up look at this car in the packaging. The yellow along the side. Looks like we got another Chase card to go with our Chase card. Chase. How many times am I going to say Chase in this? I don't even know. There's the 8 cars in the wave, and we have all those, as you saw in the intro. Here's the rest of the back of the packaging. The only time you'll see it in this video. And something interesting about this, it looks like when there's a red background on the car, they turn it to a this little free thing into blue. It's kind of just an interesting observation. I'll show it off when there's a car with a red background. So without any further ado, let's get Chase Elliott's 2016 Chase car, which he ran in the Chase last year, and then Chase got knocked out of the Chase. I can't remember exactly what race that was, but it was one of the races. Maybe Talladega? I don't remember. But anyway, here is Chase Elliott's number 24 NAPA Auto Parts car. So here it is, Chase Elliott's Chase NAPA Auto Parts Chase car out of its box. Easy for me to say. I have to say the addition of the yellow looks pretty good. The Chase yellow on the Chase car. Has that gotten old yet? But it definitely gives me some kind of old school NAPA vibes. The old school NAPA paint schemes, like for Michael Waltrip and Martin Truex Jr. with this scheme. So obviously the yellow Chase banners are going to work better on cars with blue. And I have to say, of the Chase cars we've gotten so far, I would say this is probably the best looking one. The Dale Jr. one we got last year, I think Wave 2 maybe of 2016. That one looked pretty good too, but I think the Chase yellow is almost exactly the NAPA yellow, maybe like a touch brighter, and it just kind of works. So let's take a look at this card. And I have to say the Chase Elliott cards always look very good. I think Lionel does a fantastic job with these, and it actually kind of makes the that pinstriping that I don't really like on the car actually kind of work. Chase Elliott celebrates his rookie season with a trip to the Chase, and you can read all that. So where's our Chris Buescher car coming then, since he was the other rookie in the Chase? Somehow I don't think we'll be getting a Chris Buescher Chase car. But let's take a closer look at this bad boy. There is a bit of a wonky NAPA logo. You can always tell by these 2 plates here whether or not the logo on the hood is straight, but not quite there. There's Chase Elliott's social media tag, and obviously this is a car that we've seen quite a few times before. First we saw it in, I think, Wave 4 of 2016. Obviously that was the first wave we got last year with 2016 cars, and this may be one of the last 2016 cars we get. Of course, we're going to have to wait and see what Wave 3 brings of 2017. So this is the Contender 16 round car. So I can't remember the rounds. So what races are in the rounds? I think Chicagoland, and I don't remember the other one. So I guess this is a Chicagoland car, or maybe that was the Mountain Dew car. I feel like the Mountain Dew car was run at Chicagoland. But oh well, somebody will correct me in the comments surely. But decent car to start out with. I can't say I really agree with the choice to put a Chase Elliott car in, or the Chase car in this wave, because of course we have another Chase Elliott car coming up, so there's not a whole lot of variety. And I believe this car was also readily available in the Gold Series, so I don't know if this is the best choice, but I think there are a lot of good choices coming up So let's start talking about those. So the second of three 2016 cars we got in 2017 Wave 2 of Lionel's NASCAR Authentics is one that got DNP'd in the Gold Series for 2017. Kasey Kahne's Liftmaster Darlington Throwback paint scheme. I feel like this is another sponsor throwback rather than a throwback to an actual car, and I think that's why it got canceled. But it's good that Lionel got this car out utilizing their NASCAR Authentics line. I think it's a great way for them to do that, and I've always commended them when they do this, even if it's a paint scheme that I'm not necessarily all that interested in. Certainly, the Kasey Kahne fans, the Darlington Throwback fans, are going to be after this one because it'll help complete their collection. So without any further ado, let's get this thing open and see how wrong I was about the throwback and what it's actually a throwback to. Are we going to spoil it? Let's not spoil it. Let's wait until I can be embarrassed when we actually talk about the diecast. Oh, it happened again. Wow, that hasn't happened since like 2 years ago, and it finally happened. So I guess I'll put some problems and whatnot in there. So we'll repair the wall. We'll repair the safer barrier. We got to go under a red flag because we're totally not waiting for Junior to repair his car. But anyway, let's take a look at the Liftmaster Throwback. Alright, the repairs to the safer barrier have been made, and the diecast review continues after the red flag. So you can take a look at the Liftmaster car. Does kind of gives me a Winston Cigarettes vibe. I don't know if that's what they were necessarily going for, but I don't think it was supposed to be a throwback to the Winston Cup series, but kind of gives me that feeling. It also kind of gives me a feeling of Alabama football. But I feel like that's probably not it either. I'm really fascinated to find out what this throwback is, because I don't remember it. It wasn't one a lot of people talked about. Obviously, with the throwbacks, there's always the 5 or 6 schemes that really capture everybody's attention, and the rest of the schemes kind of fall by the wayside. So let's take a look here at the card. Case Kahne right there with the Liftmaster car. And Kasey Kahne pays tribute to Hendrick Motorsports' first champion 2 years before Terry Labonte brought Hendrick Motorsports' first premier series title in 1984. The Texas native posted 21 top 5 finishes in red and white, number 44. 2016 Bojangles 500. Okay, so this is a Terry Labonte tribute to his 1982 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Now they let Daniel Suarez run half and half paint schemes, but they don't let Terry Labonte run them. But all politics aside, pretty well. Okay, well, it definitely looks like a car from 1982. Then very simple logos on here. It makes me wonder what the sponsor is then, or what the sponsor was on Terry's car for the 1982 season. I don't know off the top of my head, certainly. So if you know, type in the comments. It's always good. Let's take a look at those. It's always fun to look at throwback contingencies along with some non-throwback contingencies. Yeah, not a very spectacular scheme. I can see why it got canceled, but obviously a lot of people are probably going to be looking for this one. People who were disappointed that it got canceled, and people who are looking for more throwbacks, because I know there's a lot of people trying to collect them all, and we're a little bit closer to collecting them all. So let's move on to yet another Darlington throwback. Alright, so the next car in the wave is one I'm very excited for because it's actually my favorite Xfinity driver, the number 6 of Bubba Wallace, the Ford throwback, which I believe is throwing back to Mark Martin's run with the Folgers car. I believe it was car number 6 as well, though watch me be proved wrong and it's a Tim Richmond tribute. Either one would work, though I suspect it's a tribute to Mark Martin. Obviously, this is the second Ford Mustang we've gotten from the Xfinity Series in NASCAR Authentics from Lionel. Of course, we got a couple Mustangs from Spin Master, but this will go great with the Ryan Reed throwback that we just got. Obviously, these two cars were teammates at the 2016 Darlington Xfinity race. So in 2 waves, we've knocked them both out. I believe this one was DNP'd, canceled, so it's great to get this. I'm very happy to finally have a Bubba Wallace car. And in fact, I think there's another one in that bonus wave, they're calling it, of NASCAR Authentics, which is probably going to be super hard to find, but whatever. Let's get this thing out of its box and take a look at it, because it is a beautiful looking car. I do love how the Xfinity cars look. They do have quite an interesting look. I think they took the Gen 5 kind of style and really did it right, which NASCAR did not do very well for the Cup Series. So here it is, a very nice looking Ford Mustang with a very nice looking paint scheme. I'm usually not a big fan of kind of the dull colors, like the dull red with the dull bronze, but I think this one really works as a paint scheme. I think it looks quite nice, and I think Lionel did a very good job of representing this car. The Ford logos are quite weird because they're in the Folgers font, so it does look a little bit silly. Obviously, Ford has kind of had to step up to keep Bubba Wallace and Roush Racing in the Xfinity Series. They sponsor them a lot of the races, from what I can see. It's very hard for them to pull the primary sponsorship in for the Xfinity Series for whatever reason. Ooh, wow, oops, we got a bit of a thing that we're going to point out here in a second. If you guys caught what I saw, yeah, we're gonna have to point that out, unfortunately. But let's take a look at the card. Bubba Wallace, the number 6 car. As you can see, yes, he paying tribute to Mark Martin. Drove for Jack Roush 19 seasons, and during the 90 to 91 season, but drove the Folgers Coffee Ford to 4 wins. And then you can read the rest about Darrell Wallace Jr. or Bubba, depending on what you want to call him. So I do have to point this out right off the bat, is that, wow, did we really go a bit wonky with the hood decal? I mean, it has fallen completely off the side there. You can kind of see it there. Yeah, that's way off center. But aside from that, I think it looks really good. You've got the really cool detail there with the Ford Motor Company, which is kind of aping the Folgers logo, or not even really, like, kind of aping. It is absolutely aping the Folgers logo, but really cool looking car. I have to say that I'm happy to finally get a Darrell Wallace car, because again, he's my favorite Xfinity driver at the moment. The true Xfinity driver, of course. I mean, I could say, oh yeah, Kyle Larson is my favorite Xfinity driver, but he's really a Cup guy, isn't he? So yeah, a really cool looking car. There's not a lot else to say about it. It's cool to see Roush performance. Obviously, Roush customizes Mustangs and whatnot. But yeah, this is a cool looking car. Very happy to have it in the collection. So let's start heading on to 2017 cars. That's always an exciting prospect to get cars from the current year. But we'll start off with a car that's virtually identical to its 2016 counterpart, the number 5 Farmers Insurance car of Kasey Kane, the Chevrolet SS for Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah, it is pretty much the same. We get a hood. There's my face. Hi, face. You get Kasey Kane's name there, and obviously the dark blue. So yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot to go over, I don't think, on this thing. We'll see if there's any differences, any noticeable differences anyway, but I don't think there necessarily are. In fact, did we get a hood with this car last time as well? Good grief. That's really, it may have been a magnet now that I think about it. May have gotten a magnet hood. So this is our first plastic hood. All the 2017 cars in this wave come with plastic hoods, rather than, I think in the last wave they came with, no, they came with plastic hoods. I guess all the 2017s are coming with plastic hoods, and that almost fell down again. The background. We're just having all sorts of problems with that. So Kasey Kane's number 5. Let's take a look at it. Okay, I think I've already figured out a couple of differences between last year's car and this year's car, but I'll let you guys figure it out in the comments, and I'll tell you in just a second, because I kind of want to leave it a bit of a surprise. But yes, a very, very similar paint scheme to last year in terms of just the overall design and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure Wave 5 kind of peg warmed a bit, so except for the Newman car, of course, but Wave 5 kind of peg warmed a bit. I think this car may still be able to be found fairly readily available from 2016. So I can't say I really agree with Lionel's choice going with a Kane car in the second wave of 2017. I guess to give them credit, I suppose they got it out of the way early, so that later waves will have a little bit more variety. But who knows? Who knows? So here's the look at the hood. Very jet black hood with Farmers Insurance, Kasey Kane, and his number there. Nothing else on the back of the hood. Just get the NASCAR Authentics logo, as is usually the case. So here are the differences I kind of pointed out here, or will point out. Certainly less contingency sponsors on the side of the car, right next to the number. I think that's a big difference right there. Way less of those. And also, you get a little bit of black here on the quarter panel there. Just kind of coming up and breaking up the blue a little bit. For what reason, I don't have any idea, but it seems like it's a little bit different. And everything else, I think, is pretty much the same. I think it's the same shade of blue. The front of the car is still the same with the red flashes, with the sort of light blue going on there. But everything else is pretty much straightforward and well, except for that Farmers Insurance logo. That's not quite straightforward. But everything else is pretty much the same. So there's not a terrible, huge amount of stuff to go over here. Let me know in the comments if you're planning on picking up the 2017 Kasey Kane car, or if you're happy with 2016. I think that would be very interesting to see in the comments. So let's move on to another car that is incredibly similar to 2016 again. Yes, the guy who's got the majority of the headlines right now is Joey Logano, at least when this video is being recorded. We're just about 2 days after his big fight with Kyle Busch, and by fight I mean his crew members just beat the ever-living snot out of Kyle Busch while Joey got pulled away by a PR person. But I guess that's what constitutes a fight these days between drivers, when they don't even exchange any blows between each other. But anyway, this is a fairly similar car to last year. In fact, I think it's almost exactly the same. But since I never ended up finding the rest of Wave 9, this will be the first time we're really taking a look at a 2016 Logano, and it's a 2017 car. The packaging, again, looks very nice. I think the Lionel cars really shine when they have the yellow border around them. I think the packaging looks quite good, and obviously the Penske inspired hoods always look pretty good. So let's take a look at Joey Logano's car. Obviously we got a Penske car in the last wave as well with Brad Keselowski. So we already got the Penske's taken care of for this year, essentially. There's the hood. And let's take a look at one of the best paint schemes in NASCAR, by the way. One of my personal favorites, and really has been for ever since it debuted, the 22 Shell Pennzoil car. Now, I understand there have been some complaints levied at Penske for not changing up this paint scheme over the years. And to those people I say, do you really want to have to be forced to buy a new diecast every single year like the junior fans? I mean, come on, folks. I mean, that's the thing that kind of bothers me about Dale Jr. and his paint schemes, is that they change every year just to kind of push merchandise sales, and for no other reason than that. I mean, it's kind of cynical to constantly ask the fans to buy new merchandise, and ironically, the best businessman in the sport, potentially, Roger Penske, doesn't take advantage of that potentially glorious, easy way of making a ton of extra money. He doesn't do it. Just keeps the cars the same every year, and honestly, I don't really have a problem with it. So let's take a look at this hood here, which I believe is the first time we've gotten a Joey Logano hood. And there you go, the NASCAR Authentics logo. Always looks good with the Penske font there, along with the 22 and the Shell logos. This scheme has been good since Kevin Harvick ran it over at RCR, and it really just hasn't gotten old. Now there is a bit of an error there. It looks like part of the outline of a decal got on there, which is really a shame, because I mean, this is such a nice looking paint scheme. We've also got a bit of decal error there as well, with the Snap-on logo not quite lining up with the bumper there. Unfortunate. There are some contingencies on the Penske cars for whatever reason. I guess that's where Roger made up his diecast money, by selling a few more contingencies. Pretty much the same car again. I think Auto Trader is a new logo. That's one we just haven't seen around for a while. Or, no, not true, because I'm looking at the Chase for the Sprint Cup Spin Master logo. There's an Auto Trader logo on there. So never mind. I guess not too different. But this is the first Penske, or the first Logano car I've gotten on the new Ford mold. So that's kind of cool to review. You got the splitter there, nice yellow splitter. But again, it's remarkably similar to last year. Not too much to go over. Obviously, if you're a Logano fan, you'll probably be picking it up anyway. And if you don't have one of these cars, I'd say absolutely get it, because it's one of the better paint schemes in NASCAR. So let's move on to some slightly different cars for this year. And now, to be a total hypocrite, allow me to praise the team for changing a long-running paint scheme. Austin Dillon's number 3 Dow car, I'm very glad that they changed this paint scheme, but probably more so because the old paint scheme was not very good, and this one, slightly better, I guess. I don't know. I get why. The problem is the Dow colors are black, red, and white, and the number happens to be 3. So rather than go with a certain paint scheme that may evoke some feelings of another driver, they're trying really desperately to kind of work around that, and it kind of turns into very meh paint schemes. Eventually, I think they're going to wisen up and go with paint schemes that evoke that other driver, but I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. But maybe they're just going to wait till it's not too soon anymore. So there's the hood. I don't know why I took such a long look at that. But here we go. Austin Dillon's number 3 Dow Chevy. So let's take a look at this bad boy. So the driver I was referring to in the last segment, I feel like I have to explain myself because some of you weren't even born probably when this happened. But Dale Earnhardt Sr. Drove the 3 car prior to Austin Dillon and was killed at Daytona in 2001. Obviously, again, black, white, and red were his colors. So we've got a black, white, and red 3 car here. But the paint scheme, I think, is underwhelming because they don't want to make it look like a Dale Earnhardt Sr. car. And in my opinion, if you're going to do a 3 car and you're going to have the sponsor be black, white, and red, you might as well just go the full 9 yards and do a Dale Sr. tribute paint scheme, because I think people would buy the merchandise, would appreciate it now. I mean, obviously, if they had done it right when they brought back the 3 car, I think there would have been some people upset about that. I think enough time has passed now, and I think Austin Dillon has established himself as the driver of the 3. I mean, just look at this. I mean, dude, let's cut all that off right here. Hey, oh, look, a new Dale Senior diecast. I mean, it's the same number font, all that stuff. So, again, I would just say for the Dow car, they should just bring in a Dale Senior throwback, and let's get on with our lives here, because I think that would look better. I mean, what we've got now is not particularly the most interesting paint scheme of all time. That is a bit interesting. The red kind of lightsaber, looks like Kylo Ren there. But aside from that, it's just kind of an underwhelming paint scheme. Now that said, I think Lionel did a very good job with this particular diecast, because all its stickers or all the decals seem to be fairly straight. Everything seems to be where it needs to be. I think they did a pretty good job. Lionel did capturing this car. It is kind of an advanced look paint scheme, despite the fact that I kind of think it's underwhelming. But yeah, it's pretty good. The hood looks exactly the same. I think that's what Childress did this year, is kept the hoods the same and changed everything else on their cars. Because Ryan Newman's was very similar to that, where it was just like the black hood from last time and then everything else was white. That was kind of weird. But yeah, Austin Dillon. Do you think he's going to break through with his first win this year? It's been an awfully long time, and he's looked strong at times. We'll just have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments if you think Austin Dillon's going to break through, and let me know where you think he's going to break through with a win. That will be very interesting. So let's move on to another driver who's looking to break through with his first Cup Series win as of recording this video. And I just realized I done goofed. I called it the Sprint Cup Series. Oh well. But Chase Elliott is looking for his whatever Cup Series victory, his first one, at least of the recording of this video. I say that because I think he's very, very close to breaking through. We'll see if Kyle Larson can break his string of seconds, or Chase Elliott can get his first win. Either one is going to be probably not very long from now. It'll be interesting to see which driver between the two wins first this year, because they're both right on the cusp. This is the new paint scheme. This is probably the one that everybody's going to be going after. Chase Elliott, very popular driver, and obviously NAPA Auto Parts, a very popular sponsor. So it's a good combination. But let's see how Lionel managed it this time. We'll take a closer look at that hood in just a second, and let's get out Chase Elliott's number 24 2017 NAPA Auto Parts car. So a car a lot of people are going to be hankering for. They changed it just slightly enough that it's worth buying another diecast. Ooh, there's another one of my rants. I guess the rant I already made in the Penske thing. But Hendrick, notorious for changing paint schemes once a year, at least these days. I mean, back in the day, they didn't change the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme all that much, and look how iconic that was. But who knows? Obviously, we'll get to that rear bumper here in a second. It's a different paint scheme from last year. They kind of listened to my advice last year when I said, they should add a little bit more yellow to the car. I don't think they added it where they should have, but they added more yellow to the car. So credit to Hendrick for adding more yellow, but I don't know if it's the yellow where it needs to be. But anyway, let's take a look at the hood. The hood is very simple, very straightforward. It's just a NAPA hood with 24 and Chase Elliott on there. There's not a whole lot else to go over, even though it's a bit of a metal flake paint job here. If you look at it, that's actually pretty nice. And, I hope that shows up on the camera, because the hood actually probably looks quite nice. Actually, I like it quite a bit. So let's say if it would focus, please focus. It's trying to focus. There we go. Okay, so obviously you've got a bunch of extra yellow here that kind of goes around these dopey looking stripes. That's not necessarily bad. It kind of evokes a little bit of the old DEI cars. Don't know what the yellow is going on here and here. I don't. Why not just make this whole thing yellow? Why not just make the whole top of the car yellow, or just this side of it? I mean, I don't understand that. You've got a bit of a wonky Lionel error here with the Sun Energy. I guess it's not. It's just the Sun Energy original, not Sun Energy 1, because the one's kind of off the grid there. The yellow bumper, I'm not a big fan of this. I think they tried to evoke Dale Jr. by doing this, and they said they heard, oh, everybody wants more yellow. Let's just paint the whole bumper yellow. No, that doesn't look good. I'm sorry. It does not look good. Again, the Sun Energy 1 car logo is kind of running off the thing here. Almost looks like this is a little bit wonky. Is that wonky, or is that just me? I don't know. The Goodyear logo's got a slash through it, so I guess he's been in the wall at some point or something. But again, I think a lot of people are going to be picking this up, so what does it really matter that I say about it? The Chase Elliott cars are obviously always very popular. Oh yeah, here's another thing I'm going to point out. The people I get comments like daily yelling at me about the Monster Energy and Coke thing, or Monster Energy and Pepsi thing between Hendrick Motorsports and Pepsi and Monster Energy. I get it. You don't have to keep commenting on that NASCAR 17 video. Actually, let's do this. This will trigger Reddit if Reddit has watched 17, 20 minutes into a NASCAR Authentics review. But it has to be done. Let's get the NAPA teammates together. The 2017 NAPA teammates. If you've picked up the Alexander Rossi car, or planning on picking up the 2017 Alexander Rossi car, or maybe even a Ron Capps car. I don't know if they're making a Ron Capps car this year. I hope they do, so that we can kind of have the trifecta. Because honestly, when you get them together, they look pretty good. So let's move on to the last car in the wave, and the most successful guy this year in NASCAR winning the biggest race. So the final car in the wave, and you knew we had to save this one for last, the Daytona 500 champion, Kurt Busch, in the Haas Automation car, which also should have Monster Energy on it, but for obvious reasons we're not going to have that on there, even though we got a car with Monster Energy logos on it last year, but whatever. The Daytona 500 winner, first time for Ford, first time for Monster Energy, all the stars aligned with Kurt Busch taking victory in the Daytona 500. So a lot of people, I think, are going to be picking this one up for the significance of that victory, the significance of all of this stuff coming together. So this may be the hard one to find, and Lionel got very lucky by putting this car into the first couple waves of NASCAR Authentics so that people would be able to pick up their champion. So let's take a look at this thing. I'm very excited. I do love the Fords. Kurt Busch, obviously, the Daytona 500 champion, so it's a good diecast to pick up. There's a look at the hood. We'll be taking a look at that very shortly. And the Haas CNC 41 is out of its box. And with the release of this car, we already have 3 out of the 4 new Ford-bodied Stewart-Haas racing cars represented. We're just waiting on Clint Boyer, and I would not put it past Lionel to put that Mobil 1 car into the next wave, Wave 3 of Lionel's NASCAR Authentics. So I'm kind of expecting that car in Wave 3. Watch it not come until like the middle of this year, like July. I would probably expect that to happen. Ironically enough, this car in the Gold Series is actually produced on the PTC mold. And if you're not aware of that, it's weird decaling and much larger tires. Kind of looks kind of dorky. Watch Race Day 2011's video. I believe he did a review on the PTC mold. Kurt Busch, and he probably did quite a lengthy rant, I would guess. But this car on the nice EL mold, so this is going to be, again, another reason why a lot of people are going to be after this one, because of the fact that it is on the preferred mold by collectors. So there is the Haas logo on the hood. Very straightforward. Definitely giving me the F1 Haas vibes, because obviously it's the same team. Just the NASCAR, or the F1 team lacks the Stewart in the Haas racing. But yes, here is the new Ford logos on the front, or the new Ford grille on the front. Obviously the Haas logo. The front of the car is obviously accurate to how it was in the Daytona 500, but all this stuff here would say Monster Energy, which it doesn't. It's just the plain Haas. But I would have to say that I think Lionel, at least on my sample, did a very good job with the and you may have heard my voice go up a little bit there. It's because my cat like jumped on the back of my chair. Darn cow cat. And did a very good job representing this car. I think the decaling is fantastic, and I think all of everything's where it should be. So it's I guess in all. To kind of sum it up, I'm very glad that Lionel got this car right. At least this car looks fantastic. It's the one they should have gotten right. It's the one they did get right. And it looks fantastic. So if you are a Kurt Busch fan, if you are somebody who wants to support the new Stewart Haas Racing Fords, I think this is a good one to pick up. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So let's move in on the entire wave, and I'll give some final thoughts. So there you have it, Wave 2 of Lionel's 2017 NASCAR Authentics line. Which cars are you thinking you're going to be looking to pick up from this wave? How are you finding this wave? That'll be an interesting thing in the comments, a helpful thing in the comments to say which stores you're finding them at, which stores you're not finding them at. If you're finding them at all, put that stuff down in the comments and let me know which is your favorite car from this wave. I'd have to say, I have to give it to the Daytona 500 champion, Kurt Busch. I think that's the best car from this wave. Obviously, close second I give to Bubba Wallace, and maybe a third place to Austin Dillon's car. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more NASCAR Authentics content, and we'll see you in the next video.